Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, let me get you on my car. I'm gonna be driving, doing the legal shit.
Oh, excellent, bro. I love it.
Living my
All
life on the wild side.
right, no worries. Sorry?
I'm gonna get my camera on.
Okay, cool.
All right,
Hey, there he is, the man, the
what's
myth.
going on?
Welcome to the 81 podcast. It's your host, Austin Fili. I'm joined today by Consumnes Oaks high school head coach, former international pro and Missouri Western quarterback, Andrew Bettencourt. Andrew, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
100%, 100%. Yeah, we actually had two of your teammates on, Cody and Kevin from the Eagles. So, I mean, it's
Yeah,
pretty, yeah,
Cody. Cody and I that's one of my best friends. We grew up in the same areas out here. Obviously, I'm slightly older than him, and he trained through the training academy that we work with, and ultimately, started training some of my athletes. He actually coaches for me. He's my DC at
yeah,
Consumnes Oaks,
yeah.
and so I've been going out to and from Europe for a long time, actually, running camps, running all that, playing. And so I brought him out last year, and we told him let's come out of the woodworks for one game, and so we did.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and I played with Kevin. So Kevin came out to Europe after I tore my knee.
Yeah.
So he was there for 2 games for us, and so um, so I got a little experience with Kev. He's a NorCal kid as well. Um, but yeah, so he came out after I tore my knee, and I came out after another kid tore his knee. So I'll tell you, torn knees were the thing of the year that year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know that on the turfs you guys played on, it was multi-purpose, right? It wasn't just for the professional teams. It was every team using them, right?
Um, you know, yes and no. So our home stadium used to be a professional soccer team. So it was really elite. It was nice. It was beautiful. It was large. The grass, it was grass. It wasn't even turf, which was actually nice. But I just took a shot in the knee, which didn't go well. And I tried to play the rest of it, and I played the next week with a torn knee, and then eventually to the point where I couldn't walk anymore. So, then Kevin was in He was in Germany in Berlin. He got released, I believe, mid-season, and then he jumped over to us because Berlin was going through some shit.
Yeah.
So when he got released, it was kind of one of those, instead of flying another person out from the United States, he was already there. So it made it a little easier. I met with Paul and Paul, Sev, and a couple other guys that are on the board, and they asked if I could be back in 3 weeks for playoffs, and I was like, we'll figure this out. And it definitely wasn't happening after the second week when I played with my brace on with a torn ACL, MCL. Um,
Yeah.
so it didn't go well, but he came out and filled the void, and we brought him in, and actually we brought in a linebacker and a running back because our running back linebacker guy blew his Achilles. So it was a season where we eventually at one point had like 9 Americans out there.
Yeah, and I explained to my viewers in the past episodes this week. If anyone's not familiar or they didn't pay attention, in Europe or kind of internationally, you're only allowed a quota of maybe 1 or 2 Americans per team. So to have more than two, obviously is pretty uncommon. So I mean,
Well, yeah, the rules have changed very. So in Germany, you can have as many Americans as you want, only 2 on the field at once.
right.
So that's the catch. So same thing was in Poland. Poland switched their rules actually the year after I left to single American player only on the field, which makes it difficult. But what they're trying to do is develop the game amongst their country. But ultimately, if you put 2 Americans on the field, I think it makes it a little exciting. It's fun. It makes it it's pretty competitive. There's some really, really talented Europeans, and some of the Americans you get out there they're really gifted, and some get out there and they're really terrible. Um, and it makes a lot of us look bad, and they do stupid shit.
Yeah.
They'll be out there doing dumb shit, going to clubs, spending money, calling the owners for extra money, and because they blew it all at a strip club. Um, but other than that, it's different countries got different rules, but ultimately, I think it's generalized where it's 2 Americans on the field in most leagues, and then you can have as many as you want. I think pulling through a rule out, you can have 4 total or 3 total. Um, but they've been changing their leagues. They got to get their shit together. The Polish league used to be really solid, and then it really started to take a dump on some people. Um, Teams started splitting. The 3 best teams don't even play in the same league anymore. They made 2, which is shitty. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's a unique world. It's a good world. It's if you're still seeking to play and you still want to make a few bucks out of it, and you're talented enough to be an ambassador for the American football, then it's a good avenue. You meet some people. You meet. I have an apartment. I have an apartment in Warsaw, and I have an apartment in part of Germany in Lippstadt,
Right.
where I live for free. I built relationships. I've got job offers if I want to move there. So it's another way to network. And I did a really good job out there with that and built clients. I go out there and train athletes. So now when I travel, it pays me to go out there. So it's a pretty good gig at this point.
100%. And I think to that point, it's all about connections. And when I was talking to Cody about this, it's almost like, and this is kind of a theme that's been running not just with us, kind of, us, who know about the European scene or played indoor, played professionally, wherever, at whatever league, but kind of in general, like when you're able to network and the longer you play, the circle gets smaller. So you don't want to burn any bridges, right? That's number one, right? Number two is you want to foster those relationships so that way, like kind of what you're alluding to, when you get to a point in the future, you can be like, all right, I'm ready to take this opportunity to the next level whenever, right? So
Yeah, no,
yeah,
100%. It's the game of football is a very small circle, and then every year you get farther along. From college. Everybody from our area in Sacramento, Elk Grove area, anybody that played college, we were all relatively close knit. And then anybody that made the chance, Cody and I both, at one point were attempting to get into camps and the regional workouts from your universities. We were all doing the same thing at some point. And ultimately, 98 or 99% of us all get to the same spot and don't make it. And that's
yeah,
fine. And
yeah,
so um, people have to be realistic. If you're not that good, you're not getting in the league. It's just there's that slim sliver that may not get seen or whatever, but that is so goddamn small that a lot of the people that don't make it's because they're not that quality. And that's the truth. And if you are that quality, you'd leave no doubt by every game you've played where you get those looks. It's Kev said something about go to the biggest school possible. I would disagree with that 100%. I look at it at if you go to the biggest school possible and you never see the field, how the fuck are you going to go anywhere?
hey, big, and
Don't
that's the
talk
coaching
about
right there.
again. You want to talk about if you want to talk about the Matt Castle situation. Matt Castle was a highly ranked quarterback coming out of high school.
Right,
He did play at USC behind two
Heisman
really
winners.
exactly. So of course anybody is going to go. Well, maybe they have somebody hidden. But he was also a really talented kid coming out of high school. And if he is playing in a phenomenal system like that, but he will. But he was also a scholarship athlete. He's not a walk on. Those
Right,
are, everybody talks about Baker was a walk on. Baker was a walk on because he made some poor choices, but he was also a kid that every school wanted because he was elite in high school.
right.
Um, if you're elite at a lower level, somebody will find you. Now, if your dream is to be in the NFL, you might want to start getting realistic. If you come out of high school and all you have is D1, double A offers, you have a shot. If you're getting D2 offers, you have a shot. If you're an NAIA D3 kid, you're probably not necessarily currently going to be close to obtaining that goal.
Right.
So go to the next level. Is CFL an option? Is Arena an option? Is
Yes,
Europe
sir.
an option? So go find those opportunities to see where you're going to be successful at. Because every road leads to somewhere. It's just depending on if you want to get there. Some people are delusional and think, I'm an NFL quality guy and I'm going to keep trying. Where realistically, you're probably damn good, but let's just be honest. Two quarterbacks play in an NFL team, and maybe two in the practice squad. So not many of us are going to get that opportunity. I trust me. I did mine with the Chiefs and the St. Louis Rams, and I don't talk about it because guess what? I knew I only did that because I was a local college kid playing quarterback, and they gave me the opportunity to show up and put on a practice uniform and throw for a few days.
Yeah.
To me, that's not making the league. that's you trying. And I get a call to go to Miami or Houston. I'm not going to go sleep on a couch and pay for a hotel room to throw the ball 35 times. I just I knew eventually once college is done, I'll look at Europe. I had an opportunity to possibly go to the CFL. That wasn't something I wanted. So I actually out of college, My first offer came from Bronxwig, New York Lions. They were the New England Patriots at the time. They still are, New
Yeah, the
England with
New
Bill
York
and Tom.
Lions. Yeah, yeah,
They
and
were
that's what Kevin said too. The New York Lions are like the
they're
Patriots. Yeah,
yeah they're the prime. They got the money. They're a small town, small city. They got a lot of money, a lot of support, and they invest. And they do that. And what they'll do is they'll go find young, talented Europeans, and they'll buy them out of their clubs and bring them over and move them in and get them a job and transplant them. And so that was my first offer. A guy named Phil Hickey was the GM out there. He's an American dude, lived out there, played out there, played in actually NFL Europe. And so he offered me and actually signed and was locked and loaded. And then I decided not to go. Stayed home actually, stayed with my dad. But other than that, eventually I just ended up back out there. It was just timing wasn't right, and ultimately that was my choice why I didn't go and play for Braunschweig or do this or that, and then ended up in Poland, and after that ended up back in Germany playing and becoming a board member of a team and actually helping build a team from scratch, and that's kind of what I still continuously do out there. I work with a handful of teams, sending them imports. I go out there and train some athletes, their quarterbacks, and uh, but yeah, it's a unique system, man. Football's different, um, but it opens up a lot of doors. And if you take what you
you're breaking up, Kevin or Andrew. I said Kevin. Andrew, you're breaking up.
it's all about who
Right.
and can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you.
And so and the more relationships you build, the better. And there's plenty of people that I know that have burned relationships that were out there. There's plenty of people I know that, perfect example. I've known a couple of guys that had a contract, had a plane flight, and didn't get on that plane, and they were a no call, no show, and never told them anything, never talked to them until like 6 months later. So yeah, I didn't want to go. It's like now you're burning bridges, right? And people, and that spreads in Europe. That spreads huge. I want to say even after I tore my
Your AC.
knee and I was going through rehab, so it's all about building positive relationships, and when you can do that, more doors open up for you, and ultimately you got to be good. If you're
Yeah.
not good enough, you're not going to play. That's just simple.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer in that. I wasn't good enough to go to the NFL. I knew that, but I was a very damn good quarterback out of high school. I was a damn good quarterback in college. I was a damn good quarterback in Europe. But ultimately, I learned more through all that, through my issues where I struggled with. And now I'm a damn good football coach with it, and probably a better coach than I was a player.
Right.
That's because, I shit the bed on some choices and, decided to do certain things differently and was selfish at times in my playing career. And that's why I'm probably better at coaching than I am playing, because I learned from those experiences and try not to make sure kids repeat what I did.
So let's kind of talk about that. Obviously, your journey, right? Obviously, you got to the pro leagues, kind of, where you played college in Missouri Western, right? And you're from SAC,
Correct.
right? Okay.
Oh, yeah,
So
born and
was
raised out front.
born and raised. And so did you? Was football your first sport growing up, or was it something else?
So I grew up playing football, basketball, and I boxed.
Okay.
So basketball was I was probably better at basketball than anything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was just more gifted. I was more physical, but football was a love. So when I came out of high school, I had an opportunity to play some smaller D1 basketball. I had same areas we had uh, Portland. You had a couple other schools that I had an opportunity to play basketball at, and I had a couple other D1s out of high school. So I started multiple years in high school, all 4 years on varsity, and I actually picked up some Pac-12s out of my sophomore year, but junior year I was devastated with. I broke vertebrae, and so ended up, sitting out my junior year because I wasn't able to play. Came back my senior year, still, trying to rehab from some spine injury, and but ultimately settled on Missouri Western. It was a choice, and actually it was more motivated because my brother lived out there, and the DC played with my brother in college. So it was one of those like, hey, come play for me. You haven't seen your brother in a while. I wanted to see my brother, and He played college ball, had a shot in the league, did some small things. Um, it was a good time. I probably could have. I had an offer to go to San Jose State, Sac State, UC Davis. Cal Berkeley offered me early. UCLA offered me early. But obviously, with some injuries and not playing my junior season and only getting a game or so in, it kind of deteriorated what I had. And that's where I went through my own little self battles. I was a freshman, sophomore. I was really hungry to learn, and junior year I became an arrogant ass and felt like I knew everything. And I had a coach. Actually, my coaches in high school were fucking terrible by all means. My first 3 years, they're the head coach and whole staff at Sac State right now, which are winning. Right? They ran an offense that just didn't fit us. And then obviously my senior year we went kind of spread,
Hmm.
and it was really successful. Um, you know, but yeah. So after high school, we had a good year. We were 8-1-1 my senior year. Got dipped in the first round of the playoffs by a really talented team, and played basketball, and ended up having to decide if I wanted to play basketball in college or football. And I chose football just because it was a love, and actually went D2 strictly because one, I thought it'd be a better fit. I wasn't chasing a badge. I wasn't there to go find the biggest school I wanted to play for. I wanted to find what suited me, what fit me personally, what fit me, what I was seeking for out of the game. And honestly, I needed to challenge myself. I needed to get away.
Right.
Because if I would have continued down the same path and said, "Oh, I'm a big timer. I'm going to keep going big time," I'd have probably went to UCLA or Cal and ended up being the guy that drank every night, partied every night, and had too much fun and didn't give a shit about football.
Right.
When I went to Missouri, I was challenged. I was forced to step out of the comfort zone. I know, Kevin could probably talk about it when, he went to, Delta State. He played with actually a couple of my buddies, to be honest. And when you don't get those loves and there's a local kid, there's some politics in it, and that's
Right.
okay. And I was accepting that. I wanted that. I wanted the challenge, and that's where, when you're uncomfortable, you have growth. And so, put myself in an uncomfortable situation, and I grew a lot, and still to this day, now the head coach that's at my alma mater was our D line coach at the time. So
Right.
I go back and open arms and help them out, and send kids to their universities, and opportunities to be successful. But yeah, it's I took the D2 route on purpose,
Mm-hmm.
and some people, yeah, I'll tell you, my dad was pissed, because sitting in my backyard was San Jose State, and they were god awful, but they were in my backyard.
Right.
So my parents could have watched me every day. They didn't have to, take plane flights every weekend to go watch me play.
Right.
And the other reason I went out to Missouri Western is they recruited heavily NorCal kids during that year. So they brought out a kid that became probably one of my best friends, Brad Kester, who was another D1 kid who made some poor choices in high school like me and ended up out there.
Yeah.
So they were like the last chance, give you second chance, not last chance, but second chance you for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was that, so, I looked at, Mizzou. I had an opportunity to play at Mizzou. And so, it was one of those things where Missouri was the best option. Coach Pinkle at Mizzou said, you may come here, you may take this offer, but we got Chase Daniels. He's in the NFL. Blaine Gabbert, he's in the NFL.
Yeah.
Brad Smith, he's in the NFL. Was in the NFL. He's old. So, I listened to my brother. He was pretty influential on, helping me make good choices and get my ass out of sack so I didn't do the same stupid shit and get myself arrested. And I got myself in trouble in high school, and that was the problem. So, that's why I chose the D2 route, and it made me who I am. So, and then
100%.
college came and went, and Europe came and went. And then I kind of dabbled in high school for a couple of years at my alma mater in high school, and then developed a passing academy, a quarterback academy, and just rocking and rolling with all that.
And so pretty much that's what led you. That's kind of how you transitioned from playing professionally and collegiately to coaching, right? With the
Yeah.
passing academy.
Yeah. So when I was in Europe, in Warsaw, I actually helped develop their youth program. And one of our youth programs ended up traveling the country and went undefeated. And then same thing, I started doing the same thing, developing a youth program in Germany. And so, football is, do I have ability to still go play? Yeah, I'm 33 years old now, and I still throw every day with my college kids and my high school quarterbacks, and throw with my kids at practice.
Hmm.
Um, but it wasn't about being bitter. I got what I needed out of football. I was satisfied. So, and a lot of people don't become satisfied, and that's the problem. And then they become bitter about things. I was satisfied because my journey was exciting. It was fun.
Yeah.
And I right out of after I was done playing in Europe, I didn't necessarily have a niche to go coach. It was more so let me train quarterbacks because I was watching about, I don't know, local kids just absolutely not get developed. So it was all about development. So I went that route, and then my alma mater said come out and coach. We got a couple kids, and then one of my quarterbacks that I was training went there. Ended up was a nationally ranked kid. Ended up at Wyoming, and now he's finishing up his grad year over at Idaho State. And then that grew from one kid to, one D1 kid to now 22 Division I college quarterbacks, maybe another dozen D2, NAI, D3 kids,
Wow.
and then a handful of high school, probably got 20 high school kids currently, and maybe another 20 youth kids. And I don't know, there's probably 65, 70 kids total running around in our academy. But yeah, it, football's a love, and
Yeah.
if you don't love it, then you're not going to coach it, and some people love it. They say they love it. And but look at Cody. Cody was, Cody was legit, and had an opportunity to play at a high level. Unfortunately, an injury stripped that from him. But, he'll tell you, I bitch at him all the time. I thought his agent sucked. Should have had another shot. But, Cody loved it and enjoyed what he got from football.
Right.
And now he's giving back with it. And we get a little bit of our fix in what we love the most about football, the competitive edge, when we can go out and coach every coach in the section and pretty much tell coaches that we're better than you. We're just gonna out coach you.
Fuck yeah, dude. I
um,
mean,
and
100%. Good.
so that's where we get our competitive edge at, and
Right.
that's how you get your fix. And ultimately you want the kids after you to be better than you ever were.
100%.
And I would say now, if I had to play high school now, if I was in high school now, my exposure would be higher. I'd probably have, more opportunities to do other things. But ultimately, you know, I grew up in a time where, early 2000s, 2006, the exposure was hard. You didn't have social media, you didn't have all that.
Yeah,
And you didn't have
exactly.
coaches,
Right.
you didn't have coaches like me who
Right.
have, I have, luckily I'm blessed, and Cody's blessed, and my whole crew, my whole staff actually in high school, play college or pro ball at some level,
Right.
um, that have contacts, so to get your film out to colleges. There's plenty of people that go train with these big names and this and that, and sometimes that doesn't translate to anything. And if it doesn't translate to anything, I think you should look at it two ways. If you go train with the biggest quarterback coach in the country and you're not getting out, that's probably not because the coach. Could be potentially two things. One, he may not have the contacts, or people don't value his opinion on the position, or maybe you're not there and you may not be the elite. Because I know I got kids that go down to this LA guy a couple times thinking if I go there, I'm going to go D1. And I'm like, look, you can go there. Doesn't mean you're going to be D1.
Right.
Like, you don't need to go to somebody to become a D1 guy. You need to just focus on development. You need to find the person that develops you and that you see growth in, and that people see growth in as an athlete and as a young man or woman. That's where you actually really get successful. Um, but yeah, it's that's what got me into coaching, is making kids better than what I was.
Mhm.
And I know, Cody's doing kind of the same thing. Um, that's what we do it for, and trust me, we want to win, and we win a lot of goddamn games at Cosumnes Oaks. Um, and we do it in style, and we get a lot of kids to go to college. And that's why we're successful right now. It helps that you have guys like Cody, uh, Antoine Simmons, which was a top 5 draft pick, was the number 1 corner coming out in high school. You got guys like Ron McGee, who, UC Davis, our staff is stacked. And, reason is not because they're put it like this. You can be a really good football player and suck at coaching. I'll just tell you
Yeah,
that. There's plenty of
exactly. Yeah.
but it's they know how to teach, and it's not do as I did, but do as I show you and let me teach you, and so that was honestly, I told Cody, you know again, that's one of my closest friends. I told him straight up, I said, we can't expect kids to do what we used to do. We have to teach them the little things to get them near it, so then they can feel what we felt.
Right.
And when they feel that, that's what we get. And then Cody develops this linebacker. He's a gangly kid, 180 pounds. And then he starts working out with me and training and working out with CO. And now he's 245 pounds, and he's a top 10 outside linebacker in the country.
100%.
And you ask Cody and me, I'll tell you right now, the kid's nowhere near what he needs to be. He's good. His intangibles are through the roof, but now Cody's giving him what he had, and now it's starting to click. And now Moses is going to probably be better than Cody, and that's what we want. We want them better than us. My
Yeah.
quarterback at CO, I cuss him out, yell at his ass every day because I want you to not make my mistakes.
Exactly.
And he's on path to do better, and he's going to be better than me. I won't tell him that. I still tell him I still whip his ass every day in quarterback drills, and so um, some days we'll dust the cleats off and we'll go out there and compete with them, but that's what we want. We want them to be better than us.
Right.
And if anybody doesn't want somebody to be better than you, then you're in the wrong. You shouldn't coach.
Facts.
And there's some people that do that, and there's some people that, have their reasons for not coaching. But ultimately, if you love the game, you want to give back and you want the game to develop, you go back and give back, and so because there's not much money in it. If you're a head football coach only, you only get a stipend. Now, if you teach, you get a salary and this or that. But, unless you're coaching at a collegiate level or, and even then, it's still not an excruciating, salary. You can go
Oh yeah.
coach at Sac State and only make 45, 50,000 a year. That's not much living in Sacramento. That's poverty to me,
Pretty much.
in Sac.
Yeah.
Um, so that's the hard thing,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, that's it. That's kind of how I got into coaching, and actually, to be honest, I became a head coach out of nowhere. Um, Cosumnes Oaks was a school that always had Division I athletes get out, always had athletes, but they always had shitty coaching. And um, at one point, they had like 4 or 5 D1 kids, and they were playing Division III football out here, which is smaller football, and they still weren't winning section titles or league titles. And so we're in Division I, and I took over a team that had like 3 wins, and they were terrible in GPA, and we ended up winning, I think, 9 games. I don't know, 8. Um,
8-4.
yeah, we won 8 games and actually shot ourselves in the foot in the playoffs. In the semifinals, we lost to a team that we beat convincingly, and ultimately, we only lost games because we beat ourselves, and ultimately that's the coach's fault. Players win games, coaches lose games. We outcoached ourselves a bit in the third round of the playoffs and lost on a trick play, and shit happens. But if they give us a couple of games this year, it'll be fun. But if we'd have played a full season this year, I think Cody, myself, and I'd say anybody in the section knew we were probably going to come out and stomp a lot of teams out and end up, maybe making that push to state title game. But yeah, yeah, I got offered that job. Somebody told me to apply, and I told them no. I had no interest in being a head coach because it's a headache. Um, it's not glory at all. It's a pain in the ass. It's not because of the kids. It's a pain in the ass because my parents. My parents are amazing. My kids are amazing. It's all the tedious little things that we have to mind our P's and Q's because people are offended by certain things. And so
You're
we got
right.
a sensitive world.
Yeah, man.
Luckily, my
100%.
school's not sensitive.
Okay.
Um, they're not. I tell them, if you walk inside my stadium, what you see me as is not who I am as a person. That's me as a coach. So the
Right.
words you hear coming out of my mouth are not how I talk in a normal day, because our announcers will be laughing. They'll hear, oh, there goes Coach Bettencourt, Coach Cody again, losing their mind. They'll announce it in the middle of the game when Cody's throwing his shit on the floor and I'm launching my headset in the middle of the field, cussing a ref out. That's the passion, and we want our kids to feel our passion, and so they match our passion. So luckily, our school rocks with us. Our families love us, but we teach our kids to be grown ass men. And you may not be the best football player, but I'm gonna make you a grown ass man, and I'm gonna push you to be compassionate. I'm gonna push you to be, you know, to have a sense of ownership. I'm gonna push you to be competitive because those are some things that we lack. A lot of kids don't have ownership in anything, and,
Yeah.
so we want them to own something. And if you're a starter, own it and own everything that's about it. If you're a guy that's a rotational player, own it. If you're a guy that may never see the field, own this and be the best you can be. And then we'll find places for you,
Right.
because you can never have too many people that are dedicated and execute and bring phenomenal energy. Um, but yeah, that's how we got into coaching. And then, obviously my quarterback academy's been rocking and rolling, and, I'd like to say there's not many people that do what I do when it comes to that. And it's a proven track record when you look at kids time in, time out, coming in and developing, and D1 kids going in and out, and D2. And honestly, I don't give a shit about D1. I care, about kids going to college and continuing their dream.
Bingo.
And that's it.
But I think that's an important point, because when you started off we started off the interview, and you mentioned, we heard about Kevin saying that, go to the biggest school. And this is what I mean with my teammate. A lot of my teammates from college, because Kevin, I played against Kevin in college at JUCO, right? He was at De Anza, West Valley. And then one of my teammates from San Jose City College, my freshman year, now coaches at De Anza. And he transferred to a school, an HBCU, and then the issue was that he went there, and then he's a tight end, and obviously HBCUs, they won the options, they won the double options a lot. So
Yeah.
tight ends, your opportunities are limited. So he decided to transfer to Tiffin, which was a better fit. May not be a higher division, but he got more. He was able to get more opportunities, right? So to your point, it's not about going to a big ass school. It's about going to a school where you'll have the best opportunity for success based on the type of scheme that fits your player profile. So I think
Yes.
that's an important point.
Well, it's not about it's not about it's not about the badge. Stop chasing the badge.
Yeah.
Start chasing what you want out of the game. And if you can start doing that, then you'll be fine.
Right.
Because then you're going to attain what you want. If you're chasing the largest school, then what do you want out of that largest school?
Yeah, exactly.
If it's just to be on the largest team you can find, hold on, my wife's texting me.
No worries.
If you want just to be on the biggest team, then you can be on the biggest team. If you want to play, then find the place where you can actually go play football. Because I'm telling you right now, it's so much better playing football than it is sitting there watching football.
Yeah,
And
exactly, man. 100%. Preach, coach.
That's what has to, that's what, kind of has to go. And that's where I always tell people, you need to go play. And
Right.
that's why kids are transferring left and right. Hey, hold on.
Yeah, no worries. Yes, sir.
All right. She was just asking if I was over.
Yeah.
Finished with cues. But yeah, so that's the biggest thing is football's fun when you're playing it, and that's why I always tell kids go where you're gonna play, because I watch kids transferring to and from. I go there, I don't get to play, politics, this and that. Well, you should have went to a school you had a shot to play early, or develop and get a shot. Know the path. Normally you don't go to the Washingtons or the Fresnos to necessarily start as a freshman, maybe 2 years before you get a shot.
Right.
So if that's the case, don't be worried when you don't play your first 2 years.
Right.
And there's all these, there's stories where people, they get a kickback and they automatically start, or that's true. That shit is true, but it's rare. If you're the best player on the field, you're the best player, and they're gonna play you.
Right.
Because there's too many examples of the opposite. I'm a 6'1" kid. I think Kev stood 6'1" 3/4. Kevin's probably 6 feet tall. We weren't ideal height, but it's one of those things where we're good enough to where you'll be seen. There's plenty of quarterbacks. Steve Young is only 6 feet tall.
Right.
Joe Montana, I don't know how tall he is, but I've seen him, but he's not 6'4". I came out with the time where, you had Tebow running around, Matthew Stafford running around. Those are guys that I went to the Elite 11. Those were, the guys I was competing with,
Right.
damn good, but they're good size, but they were also better than me at certain things. I was better at footwork. I was better at on the movement, but things happen for a reason, and I don't ever beat around that. Shit happens. And sometimes, we miss out on our opportunity, and some of it's most of the time it's your fucking fault.
Yeah.
And it was my fault that I missed out on my opportunities. I can tell you Cody blew a hamstring. If he didn't blow a hamstring, things would have been different. That's not his fault, but ultimately I think Cody enjoyed his journey, and he got what he needed out of football, and now he gives back. The ones that don't get what they need out of football, I'm sorry for them. Like, to be honest,
Yeah,
because that means you didn't get to live your dream, so, or live what you didn't get what you wanted out of it. And I'm
100%.
sorry for you on that problem,
All right.
because I could tell you now, I got bull rings, I got all this other shit. I got all those good things, right? We traveled and played in across the world. I'm happy. I
Yeah.
don't need to go back and say, damn, I need to make up for something. I'm good with it. You know, I go back and I play a game a year every year. That's what I do, just to go out and have fun. And part of it is to develop and play with the guys that I'm working and that I'm a board member on. Um, that's why I bring Cody. That's where, so he gets to come out there and have fun. Cody's first year was last year with me, and it was a blast. After the game, we're pounding beers,
Yeah.
so, the year before I had to go out twice because we ended up in the championship game in Germany and ended up having to go play, and we won the championship. There's like 4 or 5 levels out there, and obviously there's development leagues. So we got through all the development. We got to the 4th level, which is huge because we're only 3 years in. We've won 3 straight championships. And it was hard. We ended up, me and Cody went out and played a team that was what, GFL 1, and we're GFL 4. So that's
Yeah.
like, that would be equivalent to like SEC playing, no joke, I would say Chapman down in LA.
You're right.
That's the level. And luckily me and Cody were there because we kept the game down. We lost on a fucking field goal, but we kept that shit wild, and me and Cody were doing our thing and having fun, and we just came up short, and it was a blast. We had a blast.
Yeah.
We at some point football has to be fun for you, and if it's not, then you got to get out of the business.
100%.
Um, Coaching, playing, you got to get out of the business if it's not fun. And I know it wasn't fun for Cody in Arizona. It was different. It wasn't fun for me when I looked at arena. That's why I never went into that realm. Actually, when SaberCats used to pay good money, that was actually probably one of the first things I actually got talked to about going to play for them. A guy named Leonard Nelson, I was friends with a couple guys. He played for the SaberCats, and so they got on me about coming out. And so, but it just wasn't me. The arena's not for everybody. It wasn't my style. I'm not built to be indoors, and I'm better in space.
Yeah.
And I think Cody's the same thing. He's better in space. So, but yeah. So,
100.
but other than that, it's a fun world, man.
It's a fun world. I actually got to try for the SaberCats after my sophomore season at JUCO, so it was fun. I got to meet a lot of people. Obviously, it didn't work out, but it was good. So yeah, let's talk about kind of. So I know you talk about the reduced the shortened seasons. Cody alluded to this, and I looked up the SACB article, but kind of the stuff about the rumors. What I'm talking about, and I don't mean to open up any wounds, but just like the fucking rumors. I was reading this shit. I'm like, wait, paying players? Like, dude, no. Like, no way, dude. Like, so I mean, come on. Where can you talk to me about that experience? Kind of what was that like for you?
Yeah, hold on. I gotta. Oh,
Sure, sure. Let me know when you're ready.
no, sorry, my brother.
Cool.
He just bought a new house over here in Curtis Park, so we're just moving them.
Congratulations.
Shit, yeah, for him, not me. I live in the country. Yeah, shit. It is what it is. It's pretty simple. Haters will always hate, right? That's a cliche term, and we made a lot of noise this year, and they brought out all these rumors of we're paying players, we're moving kids in, this, that. It is what it is. We laughed. Those are just some bitter ass coaches. I'm not a quiet dude. I tell all how it is. If you ever ask a question, I'm gonna speak my mind.
Yeah.
Franklin High School, Elk Grove High School, and Pleasant Grove High School had some coaches that were very unique in the way they thought they could get us caught up. We had a lot of transfers come in, and they were
Mm-hmm.
confused on how kids were just transferring in. And I was simple. I have kids going to college, and you don't. When we play football, it looks like a party, and I hold my kids accountable and make them grown ass men, and a lot of your kids don't. So when it's kind of like anything new. We're the new guys on the block. You got guys like Cody, myself, play college ball. You want to play for guys,
Right.
and we're coaches that you kind of want to play for, and that's really what it came down to. And have the allegations or the rumors ever stopped? No, they still get them, but they just don't look into them anymore because there was like 47 allegations in a month and a half that all were false, and they still come in. Andrew's calling this kid and offering him a job, and I'm like, God, man, shit. Tell me where the paychecks are because I have to use them. You
Yeah,
know,
right,
um, even my own kids, they laugh about it. When
right,
the article came out, they say, "Coach, when do we get paid?"
right.
And
Drew, you there?
part of the game.
Yep.
You don't think people are gunning for Nick Saban all the time.
Yeah,
I don't think people are gunning for Dabo Sweeney and trying to find things to get these guys, off their head honcho all the time. And
right,
so it's just that's the nature of the beast. And we're good with it. And like I said, I call a spade a spade. I'm not in those inner circles. I'm not, an old guy. I got my own group of friends. I don't need to go hang around with a bunch of other high school coaches and be buddy buddy with them. And nah, I'm here to teach my kids a game. I'm here to teach them life lessons, and ultimately, we're here to win a lot of games. And that's just how it goes. Um, and with winning comes all the other things. If you do everything right, you develop character, you develop, athletic ability, you develop unity. Wins will come with it, and we were doing that, and people didn't like that. We're the new school. We're the school that wears bright ass orange, and they think that we're the convicts. We
right,
wear orange and run out. We listen to music too loud. We dance in the middle of the field. But you'll never see my kids disrespectful. You'll
right,
never see my kids ever get out of line to an adult. And when they do, they fall back. We live by a term of civilized savages. And that's what our kids adapt to. And that's how I had to grow up to be. I used to be the savage all the time, but I never learned how to be civilized. And that was where I made my downfall, because there's a time and a place for everything. But yeah, all that shit, that was fun and games, to the birds, what I mean? Whatever. It is what it is.
yeah. No,
But
100%. And good.
no, people are always gonna, stir up some shit. That's how I look at it as they're always gonna stir shit up. So let them stir it, and eventually you got to face me on the football field. And
Yeah.
you don't have to face me. You'll have to face my
Right,
boys.
right,
And what you're doing to a group of kids that really buy into our program is you're insulting their home. You're insulting their guys, right? You're insulting what we've built. And when
you
you
told.
do that,
Yeah,
you're going to piss them off, and they may not have as much sympathy as me.
right,
They may be more ruthless when it comes to playing the game. They may say, "Nah, coach, we're going to run it up." But I've already told them they've already asked for it. Those three teams, coach, can we run it up? One of those teams, I could have scored 100 on, and I didn't. And they said, "Coach, we put 100 up next time." I said, "All good. You all can do what you need, and we're
right,
going to run the score up." Because I don't think it's fair for me to not run the score up. I think it's only fair if you're going to get this ass whipping, you're going to take this ass whipping. And same thing, if you run it up on me, I can be bitter about it. If you whip our ass, whip our ass.
facts,
We'll take that ass whipping. We'll
facts.
learn from it and move on.
Yep,
Because it's simple. Failure is not a destination for us. It's not a final destination. It's only a pit stop in our road to success. And
right.
so we'll fail on the way, but we're going to get to where we need to go. And failing is not our final destination. That's what our kids understand, and that's what we're going to keep doing. Um, but yeah, it was fun. It was awesome. Some of the shit they said. It's those are clowns.
Yeah,
People that said that shit were clowns, and those are the ones that will shake your hand in person and then go to the news and create a fake profile and lie. So they're clowns.
100%.
And luckily when we pulled our Public Records Act, our PRA, everybody that said something had to have their name on it. And guess what? We saw exactly who was on it, and they didn't like the fact I called them out on it. So obviously I can't talk to those guys anymore. And because I called them out, I said, "You're an asshole for this shit. You're a liar. Like, this is stupid." And it is what it is. Me, Cody, we just tell our kids, maintain, control what you control. We'll keep fighting the news, and actually the media actually rocks with us. They love us.
Yeah,
So that's what makes it even funnier, because they wouldn't publicize that. They don't give a shit about a small school if they don't care about the coach. No, the guy's asking us, "Hey, tell us what happened."
yeah.
So all that was from our perspective, because they read the PRAs, they read all that, and they laughed. So it's just how it is. Um, but yeah, it's been fun.
100%. And it's funny you mentioned kind of your guys' style and your swag. I remember I saw Cody's one of the highlight videos from your season and kind of how you guys got on the field. And there's a lot of hip hop with it. You got the cornrows, right? As like a head
Yeah,
coach, right? So you got that going on for you. So you're kind of bringing a new flavor, a new style. Like you said, it's unconventional. When I was talking
yeah,
to Cody about it on Monday, he was mentioning kind of how, like, how you trust him on the defense. And then you the offense. So for you, offense is like this demon you're chasing, and you're trying to figure out and trying to innovate every single day. Talk to me about that. You hear me, Andrew? Drew, you there?
You know, yeah.
Okay, good.
You know, tell you, the head coach. I asked him like, "Hey, what is this again?" Amazing. Him and Simmons are just masterminds on the defense end.
Right,
And I had Cody's dad actually on my offensive side, and he was a brilliant individual.
right.
But yeah, offensively, we're crafty, we're creative. You know, we're it's not really innovative. You know, I look at it as there's 1,000 ways to to skin a cat.
Right.
And what we try to do is we try to be innovative in the movements, in the looks, but also stable in. Hold on, what do you want? What are you going there for? Picking up? Okay. Where do you want me to meet you? Is there anything out of here? So the read zone option, RPO stuff, it's a bastardized veer. You know,
Right.
it's all the same. You're trying to read ends, you're trying to do this. Um, you, you know, so you're trying to do all that good stuff, and that's just how it is. So um, yeah, we just try to we keep it simple though. We go into a game with only maybe 5 plays we're gonna run.
Wow.
Just like Cody's defense,
Yeah.
they go into it having 2 or 3 fronts and 2 or 3 stunts and maybe 2 coverages with it,
Right.
because what we're going to try to do is make you fight left-handed.
Okay.
And we're simple. Cody and them would laugh. It'd be 4th and inches, and I'm throwing the ball deep. It's you know it's just how it is. If they, I'm going to take just kind of how we operated, and just had some offense, at a 3,000-yard passer, at a 1,500-yard rusher, a couple other guys that were trickling around. But it was very, it's very explosive. It's one of those things where and I'm going to kind of see how you do, set you up, study you, and know your tendencies, and then go after it.
Right.
Is to make you respect every inch of the field, and when you don't, we're just going to continue going at it. I'll call the same play 7 times again in a row if it's continuously going to go at it.
Right.
And so, but yeah, our off chaotic. It looks crazy. I would say, you got glimpses. It's really a form of the Occidental spread. An
Yep.
old guy named Coach Fenwick used to be it. But now it's kind of evolved into, you see glimpses of it with Oklahoma with Lincoln Riley. It's very similar to that. A lot of constraint on alley players and
Mm-hmm.
making guys choose.
Yeah.
They need to go. Making players make choices. Every kid has to choose. Do you do this? So when they do, our goal is to capitalize on it. And that's what we kind of do with that.
Awesome. It's awesome, man. I mean, it's so cool. Like, it's like, it's just like you said, it's a version of the spread. It's not too complex, but you're able to kind of, just kind of make tweaks to it, and that's what makes it so kind of flashy. So I think it's awesome. Kind of, the like you said, the 3,000-yard passer, the 1,500-yard rusher. I mean, the stats numbers don't lie. And that's my number one principle. And it's funny because I think Cody was mentioning when you guys played in the playoffs, did you lose a Whitney or was it someone else?
That's the
You lost a
yeah.
Whitney? You there? Coach, you there? Okay. Looks like coach is adjourned. Let me just pause. All righty. Yeah. So we stopped kind of. I think my last question to you was kind of. What was my last question? What were we just talking about?
So we went over kind of the allegations and the rumors.
Yeah. Coach,
Just
cool.
the creation of what we tried to do, and the our offensive philosophy and all that. That was the last time.
The last thing was offense philosophy. I think I was asking you something, right? And then it cut off.
Yes. Yeah. You froze. I out here sucks. Here, let me
Yep.
get the camera on.
No worries.
You're
No
on
worries.
the journey with me. Getting
I
coffee.
like it. All right. I love it. What was I
I
asking?
stay moving.
Yeah,
So
stay
that was
moving.
it. You were talking about the philosophy on offense and
Yeah,
our
philosophy on
creativity.
offense. Yeah. Oh, that's what I was asking. Yeah. So you mentioned that you lost in the playoffs because I was a part of Whitney High School last year with Ms. Zach McNally and Kevin
Yeah.
Lapina. Yeah. So would you guys play them in the playoffs or did you guys play a different team?
We played a different team, so we didn't
Okay.
play them.
Yeah.
We played Granite Bay. We played Elk Grove. We were the 2 seeds, so we had a bye.
Okay. Got it. Cool. Okay. Yeah. Awesome.
So
I mean, it's just crazy to see how well you turn around that program within a year in your first year of head
they
coach.
were a good team. I've worked with a couple of kids up there.
Yeah.
Nick Towney. Yeah, it's building a culture.
Mhm.
And I hate that goddamn word because a guy named Tyler Ullman ruined it for me.
Yeah.
And then but creating an environment where kids can thrive and be successful and allowing them to grow as men of character and ultimately develop an athletic ability. And when they
Yeah.
can do that, then they're able to rock and roll, And so that's the key of being successful and holding kids accountable. And like I said, making them have some ownership in it. And
Yeah.
that's the hardest thing is if you can get kids to own some things, then they police themselves. I think Cody can attest to this. And I don't have to worry about one of the knuckleheads on our team doing something stupid because I know our old heads are going to keep their ass in line. And that's just how it is. And they have a sense of ownership in this team and what they've built. They don't want that shit to fall apart. Like we lost on a trick play, really, and to go to the finals. And I knew whoever won out of us in Elk Grove round 2, we already beat them the first time. But that shit doesn't matter because we lost in the playoffs.
Right.
We were going to both of us would steamroll Whitney, which Elk Grove steamrolled them.
Right.
And they just don't match up with Elk Grove's size, and they sure as hell don't match up with my ability and speed on our end. So it was one of those things where you look at our sideline, they weren't crying. Our kids, yeah, some were sad because the season's over.
Yeah.
But that was some of the best football they've ever played in their life and some of the best experiences they ever had. We had a kid, our best defensive end, Cody's best defensive player, one of his best defensive players, Tristan, could have played college football, turned down scholarships. That was the best experience of his life and doesn't want to ruin it again. So, that's why he decided to go into school instead. I'm just going to take, go to school and not worry about football because I don't want to have a bad taste in my mouth anymore. He got what he wanted out of football. So then he walked away from it, and that's like to my point made when I said earlier, once you get what you need out of football and you feel satisfied, you walk away from it because you've gotten what you needed. And that kid still comes back now and actually helps coach. He's, obviously everybody's distance learning, so it's helped me out. Comes back and gives back. Appreciate y'all. Hey, thanks again. Happy New Year's, guys. It's probably Cody will laugh when he watches this because I'm always moving. My life is 99 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So eventually my wife is going to want to probably either shoot me dead or leave me. But yeah, that's us in a nutshell. And Whitney was a good program. I know some guys up there. I've trained a bunch of them. Got a quarterback named Eli Brickhandler I work with.
Oh yeah, Eli, man, he's a beast, dude.
Yeah, he's a good kid. He's a good kid. Dad's a little high strung, but
that's the issue. That's the issue, and I'm so glad you brought that up. Dad was fucking grilling us after 1 7-on-7. He's like, when the coach is gonna fucking split JV and varsity? I'm like, bro, dude, spring ball. Like, if you think you can do better, then why don't you fucking take the clipboard from my hand or McNally or whoever's hand? So. Anyhow, I mean, I'm not associated with this program anymore, so I can say that. But yeah, go ahead.
No, yeah, right. No, he's high strung by all means, and ultimately he's like any other dad, probably wants the best for their kids, and maybe he doesn't know necessarily the right way, but they're ultimately Eli's a good athlete. Nick Twanny, he played receiver, know him. Ian, your big tight end, know him. I trained him.
Yep.
Sir Butler, Winston Butler's up there, so I know all those guys. Yeah, pretty good community. Liquid cocaine right now.
Yeah. Hey, 99 miles an hour, you need it.
Shit. Hey, shout
Yeah,
out to Chocolate Fish in Sacramento. It's the best coffee around.
Chocolate Fish Sacramento. We already know. 81 podcast, baby. Got you a little mention.
All right.
But yeah,
Um, well, that's awesome, man. That's cool. It's funny. I saw Kevin, because we had a short stint in obviously Europe around each other. And even then, I was hardly ever, I had an apartment downtown and then we had a team house that we all lived at as well. So I usually was never at that house that often. And then obviously Cody and I, so you had Cody. Oh my shit, that's gonna be funny.
yeah,
Cody's a ruthless asshole when it
yeah,
comes to things.
yeah.
So, um, but yeah, that's a funny thing that you had both of them on. They're good dudes.
Yeah, it's just crazy how we met. Like I met Cody when I was at Sutter, and I met Kevin. I actually met Kevin first. I actually met him through playing. He like kind of you mentioning how like it doesn't matter, you get blown out. I've been blown out multiple times, and Kevin was one of the blowouts we had to suffer back in JUCO
Yeah,
because I mean they were hot. Like they went 7-3. They were fucking Kevin was MVP. And he was setting all these records, and I mean, I still remember that. I was a rotational on the special teamer. I'm like, I remember I'm coming in the fourth quarter. I'm like, Kevin's still not number 18, still on the field. And I asked Kevin, I'm like, bro, why the fuck were you still playing when you guys are already up like 35-0? And then he's all like, he made a bet with the OC or the QBs. I forgot who it was that that he's gonna hit 4 more TDs before the game's over. So he's like, nothing
nice.
personal, but he's like, I have to win my bet. I'm like, all right. So,
Yeah.
but like you said, yeah, game blown out, and I mean, it leaves a sauce foul taste in your mouth, and if you can't grow from that, then you shouldn't be playing. So, shit.
It's never gonna go your way all the time. That's
Right.
just how it is.
Yes, sir.
There's always somebody bigger and badder than you. That's
Hmm.
I never trust a person that says he's been in a fight and never lost one. Just say
Yeah.
that. I've been in plenty in my life,
Yeah.
and eventually you're gonna take some where you go, holy shit, that guy got me. You
Yeah.
know, it, but other than that, um, no. Any other questions? Any other?
No, I
Want me
think
to
no. This is
tell
great,
it
man.
all stories or something
Shit.
from
Yeah. I
both of
mean,
those
if you
shitheads?
if you got some, I know Cody said you had some stories, and Kevin said too.
Oh
So,
shit.
shit. Let's hear a few.
What do you want? From what side? I can tell you all about any of those guys.
You pick one or the other. Actually, I want both, and I want like something that's like too risque because this is an unfiltered podcast. You can say whatever the fuck you want. So go
Uh,
ahead.
Next time you talk to Kevin, ask him about his night at the club where he got a little tied up and he had to make a phone call with people to help his ass out. Yeah, you know. Nah, Kev lived a luxurious lifestyle. Put it like this: Kev was so wild, we kicked his ass out of the bedroom and made him go to the basement. And our basement at the house was a bar which had a stripper pole in it.
Yeah.
And originally, the house that they lived in, because I ended up going downtown to the apartment. One of the owners had an apartment down there, and part of it was I spent my time down there. That's just where I hung out downtown in Warsaw and waddled around on one knee. But yeah, we kicked his ass down there. He went there, and the original, like I said, the house used to be a whorehouse. So random nights, like you get fucking some old Polish dude knocking on the door looking for girls, and he's like, "Get the fuck out of here."
Yeah.
So but now Kev had some funny nights. He'd disappear and come home. You're like, where the fuck are you? Had to pick up this girl from Berlin. He was like training somebody girl in from Berlin, and I'm like, all right. But yeah, we kicked his ass to the basement where there was a stripper pole, so he got to live by the bar and the stripper pole. But yeah, it was a man. That household was a shit, man. We were fucking partying all the time. Cops tried to come in and break us off. We had to fight the cops out, like literally fighting the cops to get out of the goddamn house. Because in Europe, you got two different law enforcement. You got the ones that walk around in pretty much military gear and force, and you got the ones that just cops with batons. Those
Yeah.
ones you can fight. I'll take a baton fight. I ain't taking a gunfight. Um,
100%. Yeah.
yeah, shit. Cody, God, man, when is there not a fucking story with Cody? Uh, our last trip in Europe. So Cody came out. I wouldn't doubt that Cody fractured his ankle. So I broke my collarbone,
Yeah.
or separated not broke. I fractured like my collarbone and separated my AC ligament in
Yeah.
the game. And so we both continued playing. But the next morning we woke up, I couldn't turn my head, And I went home and went to bed. I couldn't go out. Cody ended up going out with his foot the size of fucking just his ankle was easily on each side the size of a softball.
Right.
That fool went out, somehow put a dress shoe on and put his foot in that fucker and went to the club and came back the next morning and woke up at like 3 PM and his foot was the size of a watermelon.
Yeah.
That bastard went out partying on a broken foot. Him and we did the DOS boot. We went out and did our DOS boot. I want to say, shit, he and I don't know. We didn't get in until we went out at like 12 o'clock and didn't get home until 8 AM. We were coming out while people were going to work, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, ask Kevin. Kevin had some experiences. I'll just say there were some unique ones for Kev out there in Europe. Kev was he was enjoying himself. Let's say the least.
Yeah. I mean, it sounded like it. He's like, just going there, like traveling to all the different countries, getting paid up the ass, and it's like a completely different experience for someone coming out of college not getting paid at all. So like, the experience was riveting. So I mean, I can imagine.
You don't get paid out the ass by all means. He's a little exaggerating on the 10,000 euros a month. I would say elite players will probably make anywhere between 2,500 to 3,500. Now, if you do an assistant coaching gig for the youth, you may get an extra 500. If you come in a pinch like Kev, where it's like mid-season, they may give you an extra, stimulus, like, hey, performance bonus, this or that. But 10,000 euros a month that doesn't happen. Now that used to take place when NFL Europe was still rocking, where you'd make 20,000 a month.
Right.
But he is right on that. You don't pay for a damn thing. You can ask Cody. Cody had a free trip. Cody and I ended up having a free trip to London, partying our asses off. Ended up in the Czech Republic. Him and I in Prague, partying our asses off. And then we were in Germany, to play football and train and coach, and then party our asses off there, and it's all paid for, and so, but that's normal. So Cody had a short stint in Europe before he tore his knee, and he played on a shitty field. I never had to play on a field like that, thank God. And Kevin, like you said, he played in some professional soccer stadiums. We played in one of the Olympic stadiums. The championship game was in an Olympic stadium, built by the Olympic Committee. So that can tell you at least the quality.
Right.
Like my first game in Poland, I played in a stadium that was built by Hitler. It was used for the Olympics, which was kind of cool. And now it's like state of the art. They were remodeling and doing it. And now that team is like top 5 in the world in football. So we banged them up and then got out of that win. Luckily, they just had better Poland than us, better Polish players. And that was it. They had better Polish linemen. And, we had a couple that were monsters, but they weren't as developed, and so over the time they get developed and they catch up. But, no shit. Yeah. Kevin got his hands into some shit. Let's just say that, Kevin found his way to some of the nightclubs that, are exclusive a handful of times.
Yeah.
But, he's young at that time and he's living a good life and, shit, hopefully you were single, Kev, but looking for some ass that night.
Yeah.
But that's just how it was, he lived his life, you can't explain, you can't say anything else. I had some buddies in Berlin that were with him on the Rebels. Kevin loves to have a good time. And I'm like, yeah, I can tell, but that's what you want though. When you're out there, that's what you're meant to do.
Right.
Football is the reason you're there, but it's also not necessarily, you're not doing it 7 days a week like you're out here. You're practicing 3 days and you play a game. So you have 4 days a week where you get to kind of choose. Right. I remember one night, shit, man, knock on wood, we ended up winning. We played a team in southern Poland the night before. I'll tell you, I didn't get in until 6 AM. We had a game at noon. And I was like, oh, son of a bitch, this is going to be a hard one. We ended up winning, blowing them out. I don't know, by 25, 30, and it was one of those things, thank God, because at halftime I was ready to take a nap.
Yeah.
So, there was those nights, and after the games, you'd be drinking hammering. We used to drink in the locker room right after.
Right.
Shit, we beat the Panthers. We were in the locker room pounding beers before it, So, there's some good stories. Kevin has some. I know Cody had a couple good nights out there when he was in Switzerland, but him and I in Germany, and we were in Germany and Prague and London, and You should live your fullest when you go out there. And again, we enjoyed our time in Europe. I can at least say Cody enjoyed it for the time until he tore his knee, and then he had to ride around on a scooter.
Yeah.
Same thing with me. I was riding around on crutches the whole goddamn time after I tore mine, but I got a solid, handful of months out there just living my best life. And, I said I had a lucrative deal, so if mine was pretty lucrative to come in, I'm assuming Kev got a decent one. But again, he was only there for maybe a month, in Warsaw. I actually left right after the last game of the season. We lost, and then the owner of the team had me and two other guys stay up there, and we pretty much stayed would be like the Ritz-Carlton on the Baltic Sea.
Yeah.
And he paid for everything. I want to say he probably dropped 200,000 that weekend on us.
Shit.
We didn't have clothes. He bought us clothes. Like I didn't have swim trunks to go out to the Baltic Sea, and it was it was summer, so he bought us all swim trunks. European style. He's buying us speedos. So we're walking out there, banana hammocks, having a good time in Europe. But no, it's we took care of Paul, and Paul took care of us. And so. Yeah, I know Kevin was bitter after that loss because, that was a game where, I didn't even dress out and I had to hobble in with a torn knee because he
Yeah.
got his helmet knocked off. And they were like, who the fuck goes in? And I'm like, oh, motherfucker. Like I had one knee. So,
Yeah.
and this is like after torn knee, I got to walk out there, drop back, and we complete the ball. And then I have to like hobble up to go throw it again. And we throw it out there. And it was just an incomplete pass, but it was one of those things where, what else can we do? I got one knee. I'm not supposed to play. I'm calling plays on the sideline. And then Kevin loses his helmet. And unfortunately, this is the problem with sometimes you have a European coach. All we had to do was take a timeout, and Kevin could have played.
Right.
All right, simple rule. Call a timeout, player can resume play. Our head coach is like, no, Bettencourt, you're going. I'm like, you motherfucker. I'm like,
fuck.
I hobble out there with a knee brace on. I don't even have fucking leggings on. I'm wearing just tights. And because I didn't plan on playing, there was no need to. I have a torn knee, so I just went out there and threw two passes on one leg, and we ended up losing by a couple of points. It is what it is. They had a good team though. My buddy was the quarterback of the other team. That son of a bitch was hard to stop. Let's just say that. He was a big, strong left-handed quarterback, hard to tackle, and we fell short. We had a couple of touchdowns called back, but we also had some turnovers at costly times. And, that was probably Kev's first test, of competition because this first game after I left and couldn't play was versus a pretty cupcake team. So it was good to get them acclimated. And then he had to take them on 2 weeks later because we had a bye week. And that's a hard team to take on 2 weeks later with not a lot of practice and, not much going on, and you don't know the players and, it's a hard situation, but ultimately we're the Americans.
Yeah.
We're meant to do that shit. So.
Right. Exactly. Actually, Kevin mentioned this. You probably already saw a snippet on my IG. Like, just because you're going to like kind of the pre-existing kind of stereotypes or kind of, the assumptions that, you go in thinking that, you're American, it's going to be a fucking cakewalk. And he said that's not the case. Right. Because obviously you have guys over there who may have not grown up with American football, but they're really good. Right. They're really talented. And and he mentioned that there's a lineman who was fucking 7'7" or something like that on Jimmy Killer's show. Is that true?
So Babs played for me. He played for us. And then he got bought out I want to say he went to Vienna after us. So in the beginning of the year, Babs played with us, left tackle. Used to be a basketball kid. He was really 6'10", 310, 6'10", 310. He's a big son of a bitch.
Yeah.
And then Marty actually got drafted. Babs was unsigned as a free agent. Marty was drafted in the 7th round by the Vikings as a receiver.
Okay.
And he was a 6'5", 200 pound, but he also ran like 10.8. He was hot.
Yeah.
And just got cut. Eventually, everybody asked me, Cody could probably attest to this. The top tier teams, they're equivalent to some college level. Are they going to beat a Division I? Probably not. You're probably talking Division II football for top tier teams.
Yeah.
And on those teams, you may have a handful of European players that are really elite. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to have some that you go, eh, but then you play some teams that don't have those skills, or they had guys in the big buy them off,
Mm-hmm. Right. Buy them off.
right? It's like club soccer. You off of them.
Right.
Season after we Warclaw Panthers, I get an offer GFL team to get bought out, and they ask me if I'm like, and then 2 weeks later I tear my fucking knee. I'm like, God damn it, what a terrible choice that was, but yeah, there's some talented athletes out there. It wasn't hard by all means. What makes it hard is, there's a translation barrier. They do their best at speaking English, and we have some form like, and I've seen this with plenty of Americans, and this is probably what Kev's talking about. He has an expectation, and then he goes, "Holy shit."
Yeah.
Okay, this guy's not that good, but he's going against a kid who's really fucking good. Or, we had a D line in our league, a guy that played at Arizona State, played the league for a bit. And he's a DN. So he's just beating the shit out of any lineman that's Polish.
Right.
There's no chance, and so, but we were blessed with the Eagles. And when I was in Germany playing, we were blessed with some good athletes. And Cody played with two receivers that were really gifted. I could have probably played some college ball.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's, to be honest, the best teams have the best European players.
Right.
And with that, they also have some of the best Americans. Right. Because I've been on Warsaw, which we were competing as probably top 3 teams in Poland. And at one point, we were that's probably the highest ranked team. And then we ended up, I tore my knee. We lost that game. And then we had a shot. We came into the 3rd seed. That's when Kevin took over. And we ended up losing to the 1 seed. But they had better individual talented players on certain ends, because our Americans were really, really good. Their Americans were really, really good. But like the teams that we beat the shit out of, they had shitty Americans and shitty Europeans, so, and that's just how it goes. Because if you take our Americans away, so in Germany, where me and Cody just got done playing, our German players, we played like the GFL 1 team. Like I told you, JUCO to like,
yeah,
D1, like, right, huge difference. Take that away, and you take out me and Cody, the playing field gets very, very uneven. But because me and Cody were there, and Cody's getting tackle after tackle, forced fumble here, sack here, I'm moving the ball. I remember Cody screaming at our receivers, catch the fucking ball, because I want to say we had maybe 15 passes went off of helmets, right off of face masks.
Yeah.
Just boom, right off their chin. Right. But that's Europe though. Now, trust me, I'm gonna yell at their ass, but I understand that's part of the game. I don't expect them to play like my receivers in college or an American. But trust me, all means, if you have imports, you get the ball to those goddamn imports, or you find ways to get them to imports because they make plays.
Right.
And so that's what we did. That's what I did in Warsaw. That's why we were successful. I gave it to our receiver, gave it to, our running back, as much as we could, because they're the ones that, in space make bigger plays than a European guy, just because of development and how long they've been around the game. Right. But yeah, there's some talented athletes out there, and it's a growing business right now with younger Europeans getting out here and getting seen to play high school and college ball now. Right. There's probably 5 or 6 kids a year going to play D1 now from here, which is huge. And that's nice. It's good to see that. It's a new pool. I would say in the club that I am on, part management on, part owner in, out there as a board member, we have a couple that are gifted. Like there was one kid, one European receiver, Nico, I threw the ball to his ass anytime I had a shot. Anytime I felt I was giving him the ball. Because he was going to do it. And he walks away. I want to say I played 3 games with him. He probably walked away with 9 touchdowns in 3 games.
Right.
So.
Think you froze again.
But that's why quarterbacks are mostly American to do. That takes time, that skill, that position. That's why they always go get import quarterbacks, and an import linebacker shit. And teams run the ball more because there's not that many gifted quarterbacks.
Right.
But that's why, you get quarterbacks that's why our team, because they didn't have any European quarterbacks. So that's why, when they first started, they had a kid named Blake Wayne, a buddy of mine, he played at De La Salle, played at Scheisse. Not Holy Cross. Oh shit, somewhere on the East Coast, FCS on the East Coast. Anyways, played out there. When it came out there, he tried to play after, and then season last game of the season, I pretty much couldn't even play anymore. And Kevin trying to compete. The more you win, the more you get, the more money, shit to say about that. And,
Right.
I don't know if you know, New Yorker is a huge clothing line in Europe. That's why Bronx Swag, that they're really called Bronx Swag. They're not called New Yorker. Bronx Swag is sponsored by New Yorker. So usually you're called whatever your sponsor is.
Right.
So you're Bronx Swag, New Yorker, Lion, right? Now on their jersey says New Yorker because that's their main sponsor. So they're paying the most money. So they put their logo wherever they want. I want to say when I was in Germany, like in Frankfurt, the Galaxy, Samsung sponsored us.
Mm-hmm.
So they put Samsung on your jerseys. You have Samsung across your chest and down your legs, kind of like what soccer does. They do the soccer mentality. It's smart. It's brilliant. It's free money. So, but yeah, there's, Kevin wasn't wrong on that. Babs, he was a big son of a bitch, light feet. But the hard part is when you get there, you got to be nasty.
Right.
Again, not everybody's going to make the league, and people have to accept that because that's a different breed. That's the best of the best. You got to be savage. You got to have some nasty in you. But he was damn good. It was nice having his big ass blocking, and he had a good career in Europe, and now he got a contract with WWF for a while, and then it's now like in their amateur league for WWE. So he's not in the big show yet, but he's in there.
NXT.
But they're right. Exactly. I think that's what it is. So
yes,
that's what he's in.
Yes, it is.
So that's what he does. But it opened up doors for other European players. But it's hard. It's hard when they don't have 10 to 15 years of development in the game, and they got 4 or 5, and they're trying to make it versus somebody has 20. Yeah. It's a disadvantage, and that's why Americans are going to always be better athletes in football out there.
Right.
But it's changing. The tide is changing, and there's people like myself out there developing and trying to bring football growing out there. It's growing massively.
Mm-hmm.
It's a matter of time before you get larger leagues and larger teams and more money going in. So,
right.
But he wasn't wrong on that. That's something that Kevin was right on. Another kid that we had on our team, he was on, like, perfect example. A lot of these guys work day jobs, but one of this guy, he was on Team Poland for strongman. Actually, he competed with Pujanowski on the strongman competition as his partner. So he was one of our like D tackle DN guys. Conrad, still talk to him to this day. Fucking awesome dude. Goddamn enormous, right? Just a bodybuilder. He's a world strongman comp guy. But, just wasn't built to play football necessarily because he didn't work on it. But his normal job was powerlifting, Olympic lifting. So and then you get these guys that are converted from soccer. Like in Germany, me and Cody on our team, we have a soccer kid named Mike, who may be the most athletic kid, one of the most athletic freaks I've ever seen. 6'3", 180 pounds, can just do backflip galore, jump out the gym, fast as shit.
Yeah.
But just learning football and can be nasty. But he's 20, so he's just converting over. It is what it is. So just like anything, it takes time.
It does take time, and it's a process. And as long as you're willing to stay committed to it, you'll be all right. So that's number one thing. So that's awesome.
Europe is fun. That's it.
Europe's fun.
So if it wasn't fun for anybody, that's your fucking fault. Because we had a great time.
Yeah, absolutely.
We had a great time. So, but yeah, it was. I want to say, like, I'll speak on my behalf. I had a 4,300 euro. So at the time, I was making about 4,500 a month. But I negotiated that. Part of it also, I had incentives. So after a game, Paul was dropping off an extra $300-500.
Mm-hmm.
So I made it like that on purpose. I don't know what other people's are, and I was high. Like, that's way too high.
Yeah.
But again, they just lost their quarterback, second game of the year, and they have 10 more games, and they potentially could win a national championship this year. So we went for it. And it helped that Braunschweig, I was telling you, the fucking Alabama of Europe, their GM was the guy who first offered me my contract out there, was best friends with the GM in Warsaw.
Mhm.
So he's like, no, go get this guy. And he gave me what I wanted in first game country. I got off a plane for hours away. Didn't even a chaotic thing. I got off a plane and took a limo, and they lost my bags on the fucking plane.
Damn.
So I didn't even have bags. I didn't have shit. So I got there, got in a limo. I had a pair of cleats already waiting for me, and they gave me shoulder pads and a helmet and a jersey. And pretty much I called everything from the line. Had to there was one guy that helped communicate and, translate to Polish players what I needed. And then obviously the 3 Americans that were there also already had the relationship. So they kind of I just adapted and ran with it. Like, I didn't even know the offense. They just fucking running back said, all right, this is what we got. This is the play. They do this, this, and this. I'm like, all right, perfect. Make a read and go.
Yeah.
Kev had at least 3 weeks with us to get ready, So
Yeah.
me, I had a 3.5 hour fucking limo ride after a 17-hour plane ride. So my ass was just fucking flattened from sitting.
Yeah.
I want to say Cody was pretty similar too. He had like a day or two before he played his first game. We had a linebacker that came in towards the playoffs that came in at the same time as Kev. He flew in that morning and played in the afternoon for us.
Okay.
That tells you, they're trying to spend some money.
Yeah.
To get fuckers there to play.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, man, it's a cool situation. We had, it's different. Arena's different. You dabbled in that experience, and so, it's a little different with it all. So, other than that, we had fun.
100%. Well, it was great, kind of learning, hearing all the stories, man. It was awesome, Obviously, I think it's the first time we actually got to sit down and talk, even though we've been following each other on social media for a while. So it's kind of cool to finally put a face to the legend behind the cornrows. So anyhow.
Yeah, shit, man. I don't give a shit what people do. I do whatever I want.
Facts, exactly.
And we talk about the cornrows. Everybody's like, man, you're a white guy wearing Birkenstocks and cornrows and braiding your hair at a majority black school. And it's like, I don't do anything but for myself and my kids. And I braid my hair regardless. I've been braiding my hair since I was in college.
Yeah.
So, that's nothing new to me. You look at our coaching staff, you got Cody with short, tight ass shorts and flip flops. You got me with basketball shorts and flip flops and braids. We got our own thing. We go to our own beat. And, and my advice to anybody, you don't need to dance for anybody but yourself and your in your little circle, because that's all it's about, is your people and making sure your people care about you. And I don't give a shit what people think. You can speak all you want. I don't have cornrows right now. I actually got to go get them braided tonight before New Year's. But yeah, that's how we are, man. We just do our own thing and live our own life and give back to our communities.
100%. It's all about giving back. Point of this podcast, point of coaching, just being involved and giving back. So, all right. Any last thoughts for the viewers, listeners, Coach?
Last thought, shit, man. Ain't nothing about a last thought. It's always your first thought. Keep coming up with new ideas and keep trying to develop and just enjoy your life, right? We live in unique times right now, so don't take shit for granted. And every day what you got to do is just keep pushing. You make the best of it. Shit's gonna, I always say, think fastball, adjust to the curve. Right now we got a curveball, so live your best life, and shit will get back to normal soon enough.
100%. And that's an important message for any of the JUCO kids or high school kids who are expecting to play this year and can't. So obviously, just keep pushing. So anyhow, I think that's a great closing thought. So, all right, Coach. Shit, it was great, man. Shit, I really appreciate learning more about you and talking to you. And,
yeah. Seeing here in JUCO kids,
yeah.
No. You could. I just said JUCOs and high school kids. They got fucked this year.
Yeah.
And ultimately, you could sit there and pout about what you didn't have, and my shot and my opportunity, and I was missed on. Nah, fuck that shit.
Right.
You have plenty of time right now to go develop, like work on your craft. Like you had 9 months to go get your skills right.
Right.
Somebody's gonna you play the. I never take advantage of this. Eventually, this up, and it's gonna show. So
Yes.
well, shoot, man, I'll let you get out of here. Took up too much of your time. I should have told Cody. I should have bet his ass I'd be under an hour and a half, but obviously I had wife calling and goddamn brothers trying to get me to get out of the car to move and time being flexible.
Yeah, I mean, as long as your time's being used, you know what I mean? It's better to live fast, move slow. So I appreciate it. All right, everyone, that's Coach Andrew Bettencourt. You can follow him on Bettencourt15, Consuming Oaks High School. You can look them up on Google, follow them on Facebook or Instagram. You know, obviously Andrew Bettencourt on Facebook. Hey, Coach, man, appreciate your time, man. Have a happy New Year.
Appreciate it. Take care. Happy New Year, guys.
Take care. Yep, take care.